Good morning, everybody. If you saw my post on Dojo, you will know that today is NTI day 14. I'm going to go through the packet with you and then kind of do a couple examples for your math. Let's scroll on down here. So for math today, you have the option of completing your math worksheets or getting onto Freckle. You're more than welcome to log in with Clever. If you know your login, go ahead and do that. For reading and social studies today, you actually have this worksheet that's a reading paper, and a lot of that kind of incorporates what you're doing for social studies because it's a social studies themed text. If you would rather, though, and complete the digital option, you can do 30 minutes of reading or vocabulary on Freckle. And please make sure when you're doing that you're truly doing those 30 minutes each day because we have to track that. If you need help, just let us know and we are more than willing to help you. For math, if you want to be working on the fractions option, I'm going to go in there today and assign some new assignments. And then here in a little bit, we'll start graphing and some geometry. So those are two other things you can start looking at if you're feeling really comfortable with fractions. And then back to social studies, sorry. If you go ahead and get on Mission US, you are welcome to do that for 30 minutes. And then to make sure that you're writing a paragraph on what you experienced. And Ms. Manley also wants to make sure that you guys are finished with that president project. If you have any questions, it's supposed to be due today, but we can be a little bit flexible as long as you're working and communicating with us. And then you do have an Apple assignment as well. And here's our contact info if you need it. So for days 11 through 15, you've probably seen this already if you're keeping up with everything. For 5th grade, you are working on your art project and getting that finished. Okay, and then for reading and social studies, here's your article. It's about the Golden Gate Bridge today. Let's scroll through that just because of copyright stuff. Okay, then today you are supposed to be working on dividing fractions. Yes, this says it's a quiz. We might take it as a quiz grade, but I want to go ahead and help you with it just because I've had a few memories that people needed some help in remembering it. So we have 1/2 divided by 2. And I apologize in advance that my writing is not going to be the best, but this is an easy way for me to do this with you. So we have, well, maybe just kidding. Where's the scribble? Okay, and this is, if you put in drawings.google.com, you can do this too, and then it's a good way to save some paper. So 1/2 divided by 2. There we go. Okay, so when you're working with dividing fractions, the first thing that we talked about was making sure that if you have a whole number, you make it a fraction. So here I would have 1/2, maybe. There we go. 1/2 divided. There we go. Sorry, guys. By 2/1. Okay. So if you have a fraction and it's a whole number, it's like you're just putting it over 1. Okay. That's an invisible 1 over it, because if you have a whole and you would have a whole number, you just multiply them and you would get 2/1. Then from here, if you remember, we were doing a little thing that we call keep, change, flip. So first thing, whole numbers, put them over 1. Then it's time to keep, change, flip. Okay. So what that looks like is the following. So my first number here, my first fraction, I'm going to follow this format. Keep. So 1/2 again. Then change. What I'm changing here is the sign. So I go from division to multiplication because they're opposites. And then flip. So my 2/1 here, I actually turn in to 1/2 if Google wants to let us do that today. So then I just multiply across, like regular multiplication, nothing here to try to trip you up. There we go. Okay, so 1 times 1 is just 1, you know that. And then 2 times 2 is 4. And that is how you would multiply for that problem. Okay, so there's your example on that one. Then if we need another one, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And we have another problem here. So let's look at one that doesn't have a whole number. So maybe like this 9/10 divided by 2/3. I'm actually going to try this in in Paint rather, and see if that does a little bit better this time. Yeah, I think this will be a little easier for us. Okay, so we have now 9/10. Then let me double check this so I don't, there we go. Okay, yep, divided by 2/3. Okay, so if you're remembering, our steps are keep, change, flip. Okay, so my 9/10 still going to be 9/10 because I'm keeping it. Then here, my sign, I need to flip this division sign. And it then becomes multiplication. Then I have my 2/3, and this needs to be flipped. So all I mean by flip is you move the numerator to the denominator and the denominator to the numerator. So you just put the bottom on top and the top on bottom. So 2/3 then becomes 3/2. So then I will multiply, and 9 times 3 is 27. And 10 times 2 is 20. Now, could you say you're finished? Sure, but when you're solving these problems, we don't want to leave them as improper fractions. Remember, an improper fraction is one that looks like this, where your numerator is bigger than your denominator. And so we need to change it into what's called a mixed number, which is where you have your whole number and then your fraction like left over, if you want to call it that. So we'll work on that. So if I have 27 and 20, obviously I know that's bigger. So I know there's at least one set of 20. That is what that 1 represents, is that I have a set of 20 within my numerator. So I can do 27, and I got rid of 20, so now all that's left is 7. So what goes up here then is 7/20. Okay, now at this point you would be finished. Let's say our answer though was 28/20. So I would needed to change this 28/20. Like I said, this is not the answer. This is just an example of how to reduce your fractions. So we know similarly that we'd have one whole set of 20, and we got rid of 20, so I'm going to get rid of my 2 that's in the tens place representing 20, and then I have 8/20 left over. Okay, now 8/20, yes, technically you did solve the problem, but you always want to put your fraction in simplest form. And since I know that I can divide 8 by 4 and 20 by 4, then I would here have 2/5. And that is how I would solve that problem. So there are 2 examples for you. Like I said, if you need any more help, you do have some more problems here, okay? And then we do want you to make sure that you're answering this problem. So real quick, just to review your math vocabulary, your numerator is what's on top, denominator is on the bottom. Improper fraction is what I just showed you here, where it's 27/20. And then invert just means flip. So make sure when you're writing how you solve this problem to use these words. That'll make us really happy. If you look at these problems and are having any difficulty, I would really recommend going back and looking at this video. And if you need further help, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to be going back in and making some more videos. Hope this helped.